Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're looking at a video that Bellular made about who to main in Dragonflight. A lot of interesting topics going on, and we're going to jump right into them.
Alright, new expansion's almost out, and you're thinking, what am I going to main? That is obviously a challenge. The good news though is that in Dragonflight, it's actually not as important. In a way. So let's get into it. Unlike Shadowlands, the downsides of swapping mains aren't really there. This is an absurdly more alt-friendly expansion. Here's the recap. 0 borrowed power.
So that's really cool. Right off the bat, chat, is knowing that for once they've heard us, they've heard what we had to say, and they're going to make this a very alt-friendly environment for us. I'm really excited for that. What's up, Olden? Welcome in. You know, I really want to see... I want to be able to experiment with other classes and other abilities in these talent trees and not feel like if I do that, I'm missing out from the in-game content on my main. So that's really cool.
Power systems, right? No legendaries, conduits, soulbinds, anything like that. Of course, tier gear does exist, but the inspiration catalyst system
Now, what I'm hoping with this tier gear, though, is I'm hoping that this is an added bonus and not a borrowed power situation. As an example, right now, you can feel the effects of not having your tier sets currently, and you can feel the you can also feel the experience of not having your legendaries active outside of Shadowlands, right? I'm really hoping that this tier set is a bonus, but not something borrowed that at the end of this expansion, we've lost that ability again, and it just feels like you like we do right now, where we feel like you've been gutted, so to speak. That's what I'm hoping for. Hey, Cupcake, we're reviewing the new Bellular video.
Charges, that's the thing that's used to
make sure you say hi to YouTube, everybody.
Create tier gear. Those are actually earned account-wide. Also, all cosmetics are unlocked account-wide.
Very cool.
Reputation levels aren't account-wide, but your main can unlock a 100% bonus rep buff for your alts.
That's
now,
cool.
This would
That's
only
good to
really
know.
be important for, say, crafting stuff. Dragon riding glyphs and cosmetics are also account-wide. So, on the whole, it is a hell of a lot better. I plan to have multiple cap characters personally. I don't think it'll be that hard. Right then, what to main? What's the best spec in Dragonflight? That's a common question, and it's also the wrong question. Trust me in this one.
Okay.
I've been through this a lot.
So
Here
that's the
are a
wrong
few
question.
graphs of DPS rankings throughout Shadowlands. You can see that they change all the time. So you are best to select what you enjoy, and ideally...
There it is, guys. He just said it. I've been saying this all the time. You know, like in Season 3 and Season 4 of Shadowlands, the metas was your Warlocks, your Ice Mages, and your Survival Hunters. Those three were like must-haves to go into Mythic Plus. Play what you want to play. Have fun. This is a video game. We're not worried about min-maxing. We want to have a good time. Yeah, you want to hit the meters. Yeah, you want to show some DPS if you're a DPSer, but you know, at the end of the day, it's a video game, so have fun.
Ideally, a class that gives you some options, a bit of wiggle room. You will learn a spec that you enjoy and think is cool faster than if you were trying to try hard the flavor of the month spec that you saw some streamer tell you to play.
Yes.
Playing the most complex and mathematically superior spec also might be great in the hands of a...
Wait, unless the streamer's telling you to play whatever you want to play because you want to have fun. And in that case, play what, you know, do what the streamer said.
theory crafter who plays WoW for 30 hours a week.
You
But
play
is
one of
that
each role? I
Will you
almost do.
actually be that good? If you always want to be optimal, then the more alt-friendly systems of this expansion will of course allow you to play flavor of the month specs with far less friction, which is great for the players who want to do that. But yeah, point is, these ranks will change a lot over the expansion, and now it's time for the real eye-opener. So this is the difference between 95th percentile and 50th percentile mythic rating. So these are good players, and you can see that 95th percentile has Havoc Demon Hunter.
Can I just take a moment, chat, to say the enhancement shaman got gutted to the bottom of the DPS meters, but yet again, and don't get me wrong, I have a Warlock and I have a Death Knight, but there they are consistently at the top throughout. At what point are some of these Windwalkers and Shamans and Warriors going to get that shine back? You know, when they're going to get that love again? That's what I want to know.
a bit more towards the bottom. But 50th percentile has it more in the middle. So it has less theoretical potential damage, but it's easier to play. So on average, people tend to do better with it. Comparing 50th percentile, mythic, heroic, and normal, we see a similar story, right? With loads and loads of specs. So if you're just going by mythic parses, you would assume that, like, mage is completely dead with these graphs. But lo and behold, here's fire mage somehow doing okay in heroic. Yeah, not a normal. The statistics are wild when you get into them. Look, there are clear flavor of the month specs in the game, yes, but hopefully here you actually get the point. These statistics need to be looked at broadly, not narrowly. What happens, you see, is the best players will flock to the specs with the most mathematical potential regardless of their gameplay complexity. They will often be using, of course, ideal stats, perfect trinkets. Those will serve to further inflate the gap, as seen in the data, between the best theoretical performance and the median, and this can basically just mislead loads of average players.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that being said,
if you're an average player, this is going to, those meters are going to throw you way off base, and it's going to make you feel like you're bad at the game when you are in Mythic Plus and when you're running normal or heroic raids and you're not parsing nearly as well as everybody else around you. Well, if you don't have that corresponding gear that gives you that elevation, you're not, it's not going to be a skill gap, it's going to be a gear gap. So
sometimes there are dead specs in the game because honestly balance can be a total just weird disaster. We cannot tell this in advance. Who knows how many buffs or nerfs we will see in the fortnight leading up to raid opening. Absolutely it'll be the case that pre-patch like performance and what's topping charts right now, that may not translate to max level, right?
Right, yeah.
So if you're just trying to find out what's literally the best, it's really impossible to know.
Well, and he's right about that because the fact that, one, we don't have all of our points, and even if you did have access to the beta right now and could go play beta changes almost on a daily basis. I don't know how many times I see a Wowhead article pop up about this class got nerfed, this class got buffed. 2 days later, this class got nerfed, this class got buffed. They're still tuning everything in so many different directions right now. For you to say, I'm going to go main this class because of the way it's playing right now is the wrong attitude to take into this game, which is why I essentially keep going back to have fun, play the game, play the characters, the class types that you like, and just enjoy yourself, because we're not going to know until we get into Dragonflight, level out to 70, get all of our talent points in place, find out what the best builds are if you're trying to min-max, and then go for gear. That's when you're going to start to see those numbers start to level off and show you what classes really are peaking for DPS and healers for healing and, so on. So I think he's right. I believe he's right with this one and just kind of holding on. I know I have one of each tunes minus Demon Hunter, Druid, and Priest. I'm actually leveling Druid right now, Feral, just to try it out because everybody's so hyped about it. But Havoc Demon Hunter is a blast right now, currently. Cupcake, it's absolutely a blast.
Overall, in the fullness of time, the best spec is one that you actually enjoy, that you're comfortable playing, and that you can stick with in the long run to the point where you play it excellently. And
you heard that right. When you play your class type excellently, you're going to see that improvement, because one of the things I'm convinced of, other than the rare occasional nerfs into the ground to a point where a class is so dead, once you can master a class type, you are going to parse well, you are going to play well. Bouncing around to what he calls the flavor of the month, or the flavor of the patch, is what I like to call them, you're never going to peak, and you're never going to get those high parses because you're never going to master that class. So play what you like.
Here's what really shows that. Take a look at these numbers. You would rather be in the upper quartile of an average class than perhaps the median or the lower quartile of a flavor of the month spec that you quickly rolled to because you saw a bunch of streamers do well. Yes. We also see that, thankfully, most of the time, no class that only has a single DPS spec tends to have that DPS spec at the very bottom, though, I mean, I'm sure Windwalker felt a bit hard done by in that one. Traps. Okay, you can fall into a few, mostly social traps, and this is something that only really happen if you are in very competitive feeling content, like maybe heroic and mythic raids, higher mythic plus keys. If you are dabbling in normal or LFR stuff, then you don't really need to worry about the stuff I'll talk about here. Playing what you enjoy will just get the job done. Now, say you want to play Ret Paladin, right? But your team actually needs a healer or a tank. Well, you may end up feeling pressured to play the spec that you don't enjoy. All right, there's a bit of a hybrid trap. Another part of the hybrid trap is, yes, if the worst happens and you're playing a hybrid class, it's only got one DPS spec, and that DPS spec is just really not balanced in a bad way, then that's just a really rough, shitty situation, and that is absolutely Blizzard's fault.
Yes.
Playing a class with 3 DPS specs, like say a mage, a rogue, or a warlock, that at least gives you 3 shots at having a competitively balanced spec, which does mean you're never really going to feel turbo screwed by Blizzard's balance. Finally then, if...
Well, okay, yeah, that's true, but as an example, we'll use Hunters as an example. I don't enjoy Beastmaster. And to be honest with you, I'm not really in love with Marksman currently. I prefer the melee style of Survival Hunter, but I like the benefits of what the Hunter class gets, right? And this is a perfect instance because at this current state, the Survival Hunter has been nerfed into the ground, even with the build that I currently have on him, which gives you that feel of what it felt like through season 3. The damage just isn't there like it is on a BM right now. BMs are really, really strong. So, yeah, he's right. You can still play that class, but you're still being forced into a spec that you don't enjoy, which is why everybody, there's no such thing as perfect balancing, but that's why there's always been a constant of people asking for more balance in all classes so that people can enjoy all their classes. Because what if you are that casual gamer that decided you want to get into the end game, the real end game, the high mythic keys, heroic to mythic rating, but all you've ever done is master Survival Hunter, and now Survival Hunter's dead. Well, now you got to go learn a new class. So again, it does fall back on Blizzard, but balancing should be there. It should never be one dominates others and makes it feel like it's not worth your effort. That's what I'm saying.
If you are playing with friends, consider team.
You guys agree?
Kind of thing.
Do you agree? Let me know in chat if you agree.
Broad table of like buffs and utility things. I mean, having a warlock as an example, that's dead handy for the health stones and summons. Priests have got PI, all that jazz. Work it out with your team. Okay, as for current opinion, nobody has made a serious tier list yet. It's that simple because it's literally impossible right now.
Yes.
I mean, there are things that maybe look like they could be better, but on pre-patch, we're seeing large balance passes. On beta, we're also seeing large balance passes. Shadow Priest seems a bit unfinished and really kind of weak, but who's to say Blizzard won't buff that up because, hey, it's the only priest DPS spec. It would be shit if it was not viable.
Right.
We literally do not know any of this, and this is a time of uncertainty. What you've got to do is be comfortable with that uncertainty and perhaps try to keep your options open, especially given how the new talent system will represent a massive change to the game, and that will just make launch balance and all of that stuff quite something. And of course, there'll be launch balance. There'll be week 1 balance, week 2 balance, raid open balance, raid week balance. It'll all be like that.
Oh, yeah.
Blizzard will likely do multiple full balance passes of the game over the next few weeks. So the best way to choose, therefore, is something that actually appeals to you, that you can excel at, because it's inherently enjoyable. So next, I'm going to talk about how I took myself through this process and some things I think you should consider.
I think that's where I'm going to wrap up with this and just say this. This is going to be the first expansion that we're going to get, guys, as a opportunity to really advance alts, play alts, and learn something new and still enjoy it, still feel relevant, right? With the fact that the covenants aren't affecting your powers and your abilities. Tier sets are really all we're looking for that extra power, that extra benefit. But just learning the class and getting the gear is really where it's at. I think it's going to be awesome with all the new external content that they're going to be putting into the world, which is going to help compensate filling the casual gamer, which makes up 85% of this game's clientele base. So giving people more content to do in the world of Warcraft and not just running in-game Mythic Plus and high Mythic Plus keys or, raids. You're able to go and enjoy exterior things, professions. Such a enriched and deep dive into professions in this expansion. Carrying over the dragon riding, so you're not having to go through every one of your alts and learn dragon riding for every single one of them again. You're just going to have it as you've earned it on your main character. Is super, super cool. And it's one of the things that I'm looking forward to. I really feel like we're in a position where Blizzard finally listened to us, and they didn't just listen to us, they reacted to it the right way by implementing these sets like this. Another cool thing, and he didn't really touch on it very long, but I want to touch on it, is the which he might later in this video, but we're not really worried about that right now, is the what is it called? It's not called Creation Catalyst, it's called Inspiration Catalyst now, or that's what they're going to call it, I think. You're going to earn charges on your Inspiration Catalyst each week. Once you're beyond your main, right, you can still do the weekly quest to earn those charges and use those on alts later down the line. So, because they're going to be account bound, not character bound, which is super, super cool. From what I heard, community cooking challenges in PvE. Yeah, there's going to be, well, that's just, I mean, from what I understand, that's just the start, and it's going to continue to grow. That explains a lot, like the ramp up of employees, the consumption of that other company to bring into Blizzard to help with the game, to give us this additional content in the world, maintain the current expansion that we're going to be going into, while they have a dedicated group that can work on the next expansion, the next piece. And so that they're putting things out more fluid, so we don't run into these dry spells that we ran into in this expansion, or cutting an expansion short, which is what they did. They can say they didn't do that. We know they cut the expansion short so they could focus on Dragonflight. So, yeah, I'm super excited about it. And I hope you guys are too. I really am. Because the closer we get, the more excited I get about trying these new classes out, being able to level my alts with ease. Yo, Kyle, let's go, buddy. Thank you, man. And yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time.